As you might know, on March 20th, Donald Trump signed an executive order to begin dismantling the Department of Education. And there's been some fallout, and I wanted to wait a minute before recording this video because we didn't know exactly what was going to happen. But I've had tons of students reaching out to me wondering, do I need to be nervous or should I proceed as normal with my college acceleration plans? Now, if you don't know who I am, I teach students how to earn college degrees really fast. My name's Ryan. I earned a bachelor's degree in 9 months. Now I teach other people how to do it as well. And if you're interested in that, I'll leave some more information down in the description. And in this video right here, right now, we're going to get into what's actually going to happen to students as a result of this fallout. Right now, it's being considered a downsizing with the hope of eventually completely eliminating the Department of Education. And it is going to have an effect on college students or future college students. So we've got to get into it. Now, I'm going to break this into two main sections because there are two big ripple effects that are going to happen to college students. Number one is funding. How the heck are you going to pay for college? Because a lot of funding is handled by the Department of Education. And number two, accreditation, because accreditation is going to start changing, and that has an effect on what colleges are actually teaching. So if you're a student or a future student, even if you're an adult student, let's get into what you actually need to be aware of. Now let's start with funding. K through 12 funding is getting pushed to the state level, but as of right now, college level funding, which we've filled out a free application for federal student aid or the FAFSA application, that's remaining at the federal level. Now, if you don't know what that is, basically you go to studentaid.gov and you fill out a free application. And it takes like 20 minutes. And if you don't make a lot of money, if your income's low, basically the federal government pays for a certain amount of your college tuition. And if you're basing that off of online colleges, usually they charge low enough that it pays for all, if not most, of your college tuition. But it's simple. You just fill out the form. Now, if you don't qualify, you can get basically federal student loans, and the interest rates are usually a lot better than what is offered by your bank or a random online lender. Now, right now, this is continuing to be handled inside the Department of Education, and other things are getting shifted and moved around. But the long-term goal of this current administration is to get rid of the Department of Education completely. And what's going to happen, or the current plan, is to take federal funding, grants, and federal level loans for college, pick that whole section of the Department of Education up and put it into the SBA, or the Small Business Administration. There can be some fallout for that. People are really nervous that, oh my gosh, I'm going to lose funding. The fallout is going to be less than what the fear actually is. As we know, the federal government, for as long as we can remember, is very efficient and good at what they do, right? No, wrong. The federal government is slow and clunky and usually pretty inefficient. So if you're taking a whole big responsibility and moving it to a different department, there's going to be some growing pains, and maybe there's some delays, or maybe it takes longer to process your FAFSA form, things like that. But that hasn't happened yet. Right now, things are functioning as normal, but the fallout is not going to be what some people are fearing. And that is, we're going to lose federal grants and we're going to lose federal student loans. The current promise is that that's staying exactly the same. Now, to completely eliminate the Department of Education, what has to happen is Congress has to vote that through. It has to be approved. So there has to be legislation presented and voted on. And here's the thing, both sides of the aisle, Democrats and Republicans, want federal funding and the important parts of college to remain the same. And they want college education to continue to be available for anyone, regardless of how much money you make. And for a vote like this, something this big to be cleared by Congress, what's replacing the department actually has to be pretty good, or it's going to get turned down. So for those that are thinking like, oh my gosh, college funding and college is just completely over as we know it, that's not exactly the case. Now, some things that we are going to see that can change things and make things different have to do with accreditation. Now, if you don't know what accreditation is, or college level accreditation, there's what's called regional accreditation and there's what's called national accreditation. Now, regional accreditation is like the standard, the high bar that colleges have to clear in order to be considered legit or good, or a good education, or even be able to accept and receive federal funding for your college degree. There are 6 accreditation institutions here in the United States. As you can see, they're represented by different colors here in this graphic, and each of these organizations or institutions are in charge of what is being taught in college in order to clear that standard or clear that bar that says that your college degree is worthwhile or good. Now, Trump hates these institutions. They've been kind of overseen by the Department of Education, but he has a strong loathe for these agencies. Now, let me read you some direct quotes because we're going to get into fallout. I don't want to be political in any way. I'm trying to stay neutral in this video. I want to just talk about what's going to happen for you. But here's some quotes and why he wants to change it. He says, we're going to take those accreditors who've let our schools turn into woke factories, and we're going to get rid of them, replace them with people who actually care about education. Another quote, the accreditors, they're a disaster. They rubber stamp these colleges that churn out kids with no jobs, no future, and a ton of debt. I'll bring in new ones who make sure you get a degree that's worth something. So he wants to get rid of these accreditors and he wants to replace them with new ones. Now, there will be some fallout with this, and that does not mean that colleges and these institutions that are teaching us and giving us degrees are going to be eliminated. That's not what's going to happen because these colleges make so much stinking money. It's ridiculous. They're going to pivot if they have to because there's so much money involved. But here are the changes that we've been told are going to happen. These new accreditors are going to have to follow certain guidelines. Number one, they're going to have to promote gainful employment. Accreditors must enforce standards where degrees lead to jobs with clear economic value, cracking down on programs, example, liberal arts, that Trump sees as producing graduates with no future or excessive debt. So you're going to see a stronger lean towards, like, if colleges want to be able to get funding from the federal government for degree programs, they have to have a history or a track record of getting students good jobs. Next, enforcing standardized testing. Accreditors should mandate objective metrics like standardized tests to measure student outcomes, countering what Trump views as grade inflation or lax academic rigor. So standardized tests, basically, instead of colleges just having their own tests and kind of doing their own thing, there's going to be like actual bars that students have to clear academically from a larger standard in order for these colleges to be able to get government funding is basically what this means. Next would be to cut administrative bloat, focus on reducing university overhead, targeting high salaries for administrators or unnecessary staff, pushing colleges to prioritize teaching over bureaucracy. And for some controversial ones, eliminating DEI programs, defending free speech. So basically, accreditors are going to be this is going to be the center of what accreditors are required to do to get federal funding. Now, some predictions that I have. This is really going to depend on each college and university and where they're currently at now. Some colleges are very liberal. Some colleges are very conservative. Trump hates the liberal stuff. He wants to get rid of woke out of college completely. So what you're going to see happening is basically the most liberal colleges, if they want federal funding, they're going to have to make some tweaks in curriculum. Now, for us that are focused on college acceleration, going to get degrees really fast, we're probably going to see less fallout than other more traditional brick and mortar students that are going to some of the big mainstream Ivy League schools, things like that. Here's the thing. Most college acceleration is done through online colleges. Online colleges, it's pretty cut and dry. They're teaching core curriculum, not a ton of politics in online programs. So you're probably not going to see this huge fallout for online programs. For any college degree, for years and years, general rule of thumb has been like the first 2 years of college, it's all gen ed stuff. And the last 2 years, you're actually studying what you want to study. Well, that's started to shift. There are colleges that are now down to like a year of gen ed and 3 years of what you actually want to learn, which I personally love because I hate the gen ed stuff. You're likely going to start to see a lot more of that because that's another thing that's been put forward is more focus on what's actually being studied to get a specific job and less fluff or stuff that we don't actually need. It's even possible we might see college, the length of college shortened. I don't know. But for college acceleration right here, right now, funding, you should still be in good shape. And you might see some tweaks in what's being taught or what textbooks are being used and stuff like that. But college acceleration is still on the table. You shouldn't be worried about jumping in or getting started. Now, if you want to learn how to get a college degree in months instead of years. I've helped students go as fast as 3 months for bachelor's degrees, 3, 6, 9, 12, 18 months for bachelor's degrees. Depends on the student. I know it sounds crazy. There's no way you can learn this fast. You actually have to learn. You're just getting rid of all the fluff that falls in the traditional college system, and you're doing it at your own pace. If you want to learn how to do that, I'm going to leave a link down below in the video description so you can learn more. Hope this video's helped. Subscribe to the channel if you are interested in this college acceleration stuff. Have a wonderful day. I'll talk to you in the next video.